Welcome everyone to this week's Stopping the Violence webinar that we've been doing for close to 3 years now. Maybe it's been 3 years. My name is Reverend Zengri Oliver. I'm the Vice President of UPF, who is the sponsor of this webinar. For the last 3 years, we've had several excellent speakers to come on from different walks of professions. We've had police officers and judges and community activists and all sorts of individuals from different parts and different avenues that have played a critical role in stopping the violence in America. And today we have another special guest. I would just like to say on the sidebar, I have been away for a while, but I'm back and I'm glad to be back to share with you and to continuously to host this excellent program. And why is it excellent? Because through the speakers, we have learned a magnitude of things that plays a critical role in stopping the violence. People are like, we used to say people are like silos on their own, doing incredible stuff, but the nation doesn't know. The nation doesn't know that these people and these individuals and these groups have played a critical role in curbing violence in their communities and playing a critical role in the betterment of the nation. So tonight, this afternoon, we have another special guest, and his name is Tracy Johnson. Let me give you a little small view of who he is and what he has done and what he's continuously doing in stopping the violence. Tracy Johnson is owner, founder, and managing partner with TTJ Crew, LLC. Mr. Johnson also is a minority owner of the She Ray and Associates, a minority women business-owned national consulting company. In addition, he is a minority owner of a connectivity space and an online training and tech iCal assistant workspace. He also works with various federal, state, and local agencies and cooperation in developing comprehensive integrated behavioral health services to economically disadvantaged and African-American children and family. He assists urban and inner city organizations, local and state, national governments with understanding and learning effective behavioral health strategies, such as SAMHSA, Strategic Prevention Framework, and customizing it to their community that is in Milwaukee, Minnesota, Chicago, Columbus, and also Los Angeles. He serves on several of SAMHSA ad hoc committees for prevention and treatment. Mr. Johnson formerly served a Central Region Director of SAMHSA Center for the application of prevention technology. He has provided over 300 trainings on substance abuse prevention, HIV and AIDS prevention, at-risk and protective factors. He currently works with the U.S. Department of Justice on engaging communities to reduce substance use. He also was a former president of a nonprofit called Martin Luther King Jr. Community Service in Illinois and Freeport, Illinois. He is a married man, has 3 adult children, 5 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchildren. Congratulations, Mr. Tracy Johnson. Thank you so much for coming on, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Oliver, and thank you for the invite. I definitely want to say first, giving honor to God and to those who are here. I appreciate the opportunity to give you a few minutes of what normally is a topic that has to take more than the time I have. So I'll be quick and be as collective as I possibly can in this work because, you know, violence begets violence, and it's really interconnected with what I think of as substance misuse prevention. We know that drugs and drug use and interrelationship with violence are there. When you look at the majority of folks who have committed some sort of violent act, particularly in our country, we know there's a substance use there or substance treatment needed, along with behavioral health services as well. So I'm excited. I want to give you an overview of some ideas and strategies and some examples. I know my time is limited, but I also take questions as well. So allow me to pull up my presentation that I have and share it with you all. Let me see here. This should do it here. Thank you, Dr. Alexander, for your undying need to get me the information that I needed to get on this. I appreciate that. And also, I want to thank my colleague, a good friend of mine. Him and I received the Violence Prevention Award from SBC in 1999, the National Award on Violence Prevention. And so I'm excited. VJ Smith, who has been a good colleague and a friend of mine for years now. And I've worked with him on several projects. So I'm excited to be here. And I said the relationship between prevention and violence is because it's important. It could be violence, it can be prevention of anything, but we do know that substance misuse is connected, and violence by itself is a quick connection to that. This is our company, TTJ Group. As you heard, our mission is really to provide common sense solutions to ultimately bring about systems change to what we think is important to communities. That is innovation and strategic planning. And we have several offices, as you see on this screen, that we have around the country. We just added one. We're now in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We just opened that up, and looking forward to putting one someday in Montgomery, Alabama. So that's in addition to some of the offices that our team has around the country. We have a great team of folks. It's just not me, but we have, well over, a team of folks who do trainings, technical assistance and support around violence prevention, drug prevention, in 40 plus communities nationally as well. Our subject matter experts, there are about 75 of them around the country that I've been blessed to be a part of our team. They do several things from capacity building to addressing social justice issues to, really understanding the importance of why evaluate what works and what doesn't work. So we're really excited about our team and what we do. And our core principles are really about the ability to respect the folks that we work with. Anything about any kind of prevention, if it's violence, if it's substance misuse, the idea is being respectful and client-centered in the work that we do with our communities around the country. And I'm blessed to have that. So I have a few questions. I want you to think about this. So faith-based was really there when these several slides come up, and I want you to think about it. Faith-based was there when there was slavery, and they had to impact our communities. And what impact did they have when it was in our communities? Think about that. When there was homeless, what was the impact of the faith community then? And what role did they play in terms of helping and dealing with homelessness even today? When there was injustices, one has to ask the question, where was and what did the faith community do during that time as well? And obviously, when there's community crime and violence, and what role does the faith community play in that? Alcohol dependence, substance use, marijuana use, and opioids, and even fentanyl today. What impact does the faith community has? Dr. King, even though I had a chance to work at Dr. King at an organization in Illinois called Martin Luther King Community Services, he's always been a model of mine. And one of his things that I like is that you have to take that first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase just to take that first step. And I think in anything around violence prevention, substance misuse prevention, you have to be willing to take that first step. And one of the things I want to talk to you all about is that many of you might not know this, but that your tax dollars back 10 years ago, when I was working at SAMHSA, as Reverend Oliver stated in my bio, we created this framework. It's called the Strategic Prevention Framework. It can be used with violence prevention, substance misuse prevention. It is a framework. It is not a program. It is a framework that you should go to your website. It's called samhsa.gov. You can go to your website. You can find this strategic prevention framework, and it works with communities, works with state systems, works with county systems. They're using it as it relates to prevention. And it takes those 5 steps you see there: assessment, capacity building, planning, implementation, evaluation. Before you do anything in terms of programming, what they're telling you the key to any kind of change, the impacting issues, social ills, is that you have to put a framework in place. And so this has been around since 2004. And it's been 20 years now. I'm just now starting our 21st year. When I was there working for SAMHSA, I had a chance to be a part of the creation of this. And that this is a process that works. And if implemented, it's useful, it's free, it's all paid by your government taxes. And I would encourage you to do that. One of the things I do know is that when we talk about the role of faith and how it plays, there could be a single approach where expected impact of just one program and that's it, be limited and difficult to isolate, or there could be even a more of a broader approach where we know that works. By doing a more broader approach, you can have meaningful dialogue, understanding of the role of faith, spirituality, the importance of faith-based programs, even bringing in some of the research that's there around that. What happens is that you end up having even better outcomes by having a broader community approach instead of a single approach. And that's what we think is really important in really reducing violence prevention in our community. It is that broad approach. Thus, the framework that I just showed you is why it's important. Why do I say that? Because in many times we want to be the ones as individuals to create the change, but it's just not you. It's more broader than that. And the power is in the partnership in reducing violence prevention in your community. You cannot do this alone. That it takes the partnership to happen. But if like any silo on a farm, it's all by itself. And if it's by itself, it's going to eventually crash and burn. But a good, strong, effective violence prevention strategy is really about building partnerships and knowing that you cannot be alone on this. And you cannot have to try to do it alone. Why? Because it takes a role of every sector. I remember VJ and I did this in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on the South Side, where we knew that there was substance use and violence in that community, but we knew we could not do it alone, that we had to bring partners to the table. Those you see on the screen had to be a part of the planning process, not Johnny come lately, and then they be a part, but they are a part of it from the very beginning. And they're planning it with you. They're engaging it with you. They're feeling that it is a part of their process, all the way from healthcare to business. Good violence prevention says a role is available for every part of the community, every sector, and most importantly, the faith communities have to be there. So why the faith community? Because we know the faith community can affect changes and can affect attitudes. Faith folks are in the people business. And if you're in the people business, that's what makes change. We know that job is to bring people together as faith communities, and it's a place for wholeness. And why not be that faith leader in helping to bring folks together? Because we know faith communities have a long legacy of reversing societal ills, as I showed you earlier. Reversing those societal ills is so important, and it's the faith community that have played that role in helping to understand what people lean to for helping that they make things happen. So why is the faith community impacted? How is the faith community impacted by current issues like violence and other things that we face? Because it's there. They have to make changes in their own communities, but do it in a collective way. And how do you do that? You have to create connections. You have to identify what those intentions are, how you're going to make change. You got to gather really unique information about what change needs to occur and why. And also there's research out there to do that, but then you got to bring those roles and sectors together, as I showed you earlier. And one of the things I always tell communities right now is that I call them the 5 pillars of good, effective work. The first pillar is passion. That when we work in our communities, we have the passion. But passion alone by itself has no value as it should. But collectively, it can have impact. The second pillar is presence. Having a presence in your community is really critical, because a lot of times we want to go to where the problem is and we don't have a presence where the problem is. So you have to have a presence in that community where you want to make change to have impact in violence and other things. The other piece is you got to have a power base. What does that mean? You got to have people that's going to be a part of the process, who's going to follow you, who's going to be there and support you, either on the front lines or quietly behind in the back lines, but they're supporting you and it's supporting a process to reduce violence. The fourth P is I call you got to have prestige about what you do. In other words, you've got to be able to show that what you're doing has a high quality, has high significance, and it has high impact, and it has high results because of it. And then the fifth P is what I call you got to know the process. You just can't go into doing violence prevention. And I'll show you some projects later on that incorporate all 5 of these P's: passion, presence, power base, prestige, and process. You know, one of the things before I move on and show you some examples is, I go to the doctor, now I got grandkids and great grandchildren, you go to these, see yourself going to the doctor as you get older. But when I go to the physician, him or her, what they usually do is before they even see me, I have to do a blood test. I have to do x-rays. I have to get on this scale. They have the nurse come talk to me. And then I finally, after that, all that stuff has been recorded, they give it to the physician. And then the physician sits down and asks me, how am I doing? Tell me what's going on in your life. What are the things you're doing? And so when I think about that, I think about the way we can reduce violence in our communities is that we've got to become the physicians of our community. We've got to get the data. We've got to get the partners who can bring the information about what's going on in our community. We have to know what's out there. Then we have to sit down with our community and listen to them. And then and only then can we really create a plan of action that can be impactful, collectively engaged in this. So I say, become the physicians of your community if you really want to do crime, violence prevention. So here's one of the examples of programs right now that are doing some great things. This is on the west side of Chicago, where violence has been extremely high over the last few years. But I work with this group called West Garfield Park Stakeholders. It's led by a gentleman named Reverend Walter Jones. And Reverend Jones has created a collaborative of people, a collective impact of folks who are over 50 people of that list I showed you earlier that are working on a particular neighborhood, not the whole West Side, but on a particular boundaried area in Chicago to reduce violence, to reduce substance misuse, increase opportunities for job development, job placement, increase opportunity for families to be engaged, increase opportunity for communities to feel connected. Reverend Jones and his collective body of folks have worked together to reduce violence and crime on the west side of Chicago in a certain neighborhood. This is an example of what I mean by taking the strategic prevention framework, which I showed you earlier, and they use that, and incorporating those 5 Ps, and then ultimately becoming the physicians of their community by listening to their community and ultimately seeing change take place. This is another example, and this is outside of Cleveland, Ohio. It's called the Urban Minority Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Outreach Project, or UMADAP as we know it. It's in Mansfield, Ohio. And Reverend, and as you see there, the gentleman that's leading it, his name is Dr. Dennis, Mr. Dennis Helter. Mr. Brother Dennis has really changed that community, the neighborhood in which he resides. He's incorporated those 5 Ps. He's incorporated that strategic prevention framework. He's bought houses and remodeled them. He's put a clinic, as you see in the bottom right-hand picture, in there. He's put an assessment center for those who need assessment of behavioral health issues. And he's actually has a community-based center where kids can come to school, after school programs, up to you see in the very top right corner of the picture. He's incorporated what I call the critical pieces of work. He truly is the physician in his community. Here's another example. This is called Cure Violence, and you might have heard it in other communities around the country. It's called Cure Violence Global. It employs a whole health group of folks who are looking at a public health approach that reduces violence. It's in several cities around the country. Milwaukee has one of the best ones that I know of. Chicago has some, but the one in Milwaukee is one of the best ones I know of. And there are others around the country in Los Angeles, in New York, in Miami, in Washington, D.C., in Dallas, and around the country that really focuses on mediating conflict before they escalate. Then there's an organization called the Detroit Recovery Center. Although it has the word recovery in it, it really is a prevention, intervention, and treatment organization for folks in terms of reducing violence in their neighborhood in the city of Detroit, ran by Dr. Andre Johnson. And it is a community-based organization that has identified a specific targeted area within Detroit to really impact that community area and focus on really substance misuse prevention and violence prevention by providing support to the folks in that community. Here's another program called the Garden Pathways, and this is located in California. It addresses the high rates of gun violence by providing emotional support to those who are victims of the families, discouraging retaliatory violence, and promoting programs that tackle root causes like job training and mentorship. See, this initiative has really been associated with reducing gun violence and gun homicides in the area. You can find this on theguardian.com, but these programs that are the Garden Pathways demonstrate that you have a comprehensive community engaged approach that are essential for violence prevention to take place. Examples like these are what you look for in your communities around the country. And then there's one I call Gang Alternatives, and they're in Miami, Florida, right near the Little Haiti neighborhood. And what they have here is an awesome nonprofit organization that serves well over 1,500 to 2,000 youth a day in job development, job placement, violence prevention strategies, family support, education, community building, community coalition work, policy work. These are the Gang Alternatives led by Mr. Mike Nozell in Miami, Florida, has shown that it has the examples of using that strategic prevention framework that I showed you earlier and have been really impactful in the community that they serve. And then finally, there's an organization in Milwaukee County, as I mentioned earlier, and there's a coalition called Rise Up Milwaukee. They do violence prevention, substance misuse prevention by bringing community members together and impacting those community members by being effective at what they do. These are communities of change. These are communities that have those pieces that I talked about earlier. These are communities that have decided to be the physicians of their community. They're led by their fire chief here in Milwaukee, who runs this coalition every day when they meet. But they also have those partners that I showed you earlier who are heavily engaged. So what are some strategies to engage the faith community to be involved in violence prevention? It's information sharing, it's coordination, it's cooperation. And there's that dirty word of collaboration. Not collaborate, we don't beat each other up, but we collaborate. We want to be able to collectively work together in making true change happen. That's how violence prevention happens. And I see the role of interfaith organizations have a critical role. And many of them have partnered with government agencies to provide rehabilitation and spiritual care. They've done recovery services for men and women. They've hosted recovery groups. They've done a day of education and discussion around substance use or violence to engage the community. I think many times we overlook the interfaith groups in our community who can play that role of violence prevention in our communities. And they can even offer trainings to build the capacity of the communities in which they serve. Here's some other examples. I've listed them there, even added a couple of biblical verses that go along with it. But when you think about what can faith communities do to get involved, to do violence prevention, there's a host of them there, ranging from addressing stigmas, to assist in planning, to serving as a community connector, to become a trauma-informed community, to really providing spiritual nurturing and guidance and addressing the physical needs of the folks that they serve in their identified area. And they can also model how to choose relationships rather than isolation. There's multiple examples of what faith community can do. They can provide assistance to their members and their staff who have trouble in substance use. They can have some personal guidelines about what's use and how to be non-use of substance use. They can understand that the spiritual dimension of substance abuse prevention programs and how that works within that. There's a great program in Cincinnati that connects the biblical work of faith community and prevention. They can work with other community organizations to design and implement community-based efforts around violence prevention. And then one of the things I like to leave you with is, I call it, the building blocks of violence prevention. That no matter what you do, it's really about relationships. I don't care whatever work you do, how you do it, or when you do it, or how you connect. It starts with relationships. And if you're going to really see violence prevention come to your community and have an impact, it starts with building relationships. Because what comes from relationships? Dedication. By having dedication to the process, to the efforts, and then finally what happens? You build your trust among each other. And then you start sharing that awesome knowledge that you have with one another. You're breaking down, remember that silo I showed you earlier? You're breaking down that silo, right? But also you're communicating more, and you're gaining and you're building and you're nurturing new leadership to come about. Because real true violence prevention has to take place. You have to do these things in order to see change become happen. Now, it can't be done overnight, no way. But if you put key pieces into place, I know that good violence prevention can be done in communities that I've showed you examples, and others that I could be here for another 2 hours and do that same thing and keep talking about those examples.
Great job, brother.
Yeah,
Appreciate you,
can you
Trey.
hear me? Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. I think you're on mute now, though, Pastor. Yeah, I think your mic is on mute, Pastor Oliver.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'm using my phone. I'm sorry. And navigate. Look, I just want to tell you, as Vijay said, it's an excellent presentation. It was effortless. And when something is effortless, that means that you are practicing the first P, passion is in your heart. So, and obviously you have showed us how these other entities and groups that you're associated with have shown presence. And I know that the other P was prestige and powerhouse. The fifth one was what?
Process.
That was the key one. I don't know why I couldn't remember that one. That was the central piece.
Yes.
The process. And I think that you have shared the power of the process, and especially as you shared the significance of the faith community and how much more powerful they are in penetrating the hearts And you use words that I like, bringing true change.
Yeah.
Also, one of our key operative words is silo. As long as I've been doing this webinar, I was always use the word silos. So the silos has disallowed us to engage with one another, to learn with one another, and all the things that are necessary in order to collectively and in a real way collaborate, as you said. You know, it's called a dirty word, but you know, the collaboration.
Yeah.
And many times the way that we can break down the hearts of people to collaborate in the right way for something greater than themselves, greater than their program, is the power of God and the power of the faith community.
Yes.
That helps us to transcend those barriers in order to be the true servants
Yes.
that God has asked us to be, and make a collective effort, not individual effort,
Nope.
but a collective effort. And my brother, collective results. Amen.
Yes. Amen.
So,
Amen.
so I'm
Amen.
so happy. Thank you so much for sharing that. All I was thinking is, VJ, we got to get him on the committee for our next conference that we're having. And I'd like to maybe ask Dr. Madeline to share even a little bit of what she feels and what role that we thought we would play as faith leaders in this process. So again, my brother Tracy Johnson, thank you so much. It was a very, very powerful, passionate, deep, and sincere presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend. I appreciate you, sir.
I did call out. Are you there?
Yeah, she's
Madeline? There. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
there. Yes.
Okay, wow. That was a lineup of everything that we need. He made it very clear. He gave us the starting points and where we have started as a group that are working in the capacity of collaboration, but he has laid it out in reference to the assessment, the capabilities, the planning, the implementation, the evaluation. So as he was going through, it kind of gave me the sense of rewinding and starting over with those principles in line, even with the 5 pillars. So you have given us a wealth of information. Thank you so much. I thank you for your patience because we had to go back and forth to get this thing right. But you have been a gold mine. You have given us so much information. And the one thing that you said until the silo come out and join together to collaborate, then basically it's all for naught. But if we can come together, that's where the power lies. And that's Dr. Hacha Moon desire. That's Reverend Oliver's desire. It's our desire as we continue to go forward on this platform to see how we can work to collectively and be effective in the community. So yes, you must be on our next conference call in reference to the conference that's forthcoming. I'll make sure you get the information. Thank you so much. VJ, we thank you. VJ is doing a great work as far as gathering people and sharing the information and those that are willing to come on and share. So I appreciate you, VJ, and the work that you're doing. And I'm so glad Reverend Oliver is here with us today, for he was missed. So it's good to see you. It's good to hear your voice.
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you again, Mr. Johnson, for for the plethora of information.
Yeah, I knew I had a short amount of time, but normally we do this, my team and I, we do this, in a 2 hour, 4 hour, or 6 hour presentation with interaction and engagement for state government, federal government, nonprofit organizations, and the like. I'm in Montgomery, Alabama today, where we're
Wow.
providing training to folks around understanding the efforts of good prevention work. And so it's a 5-day training that my team is here to do that. And then next week I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, where we're working with the Center for Black Health Equity on understanding the importance of good, effective prevention projects using policy work for communities around the country. So this is a ministry for me more than anything. And I thank God for the opportunity.
Wow. You executed so well. So
You did.
well.
Brother VJ,
Yes, sir.
what say you?
Well, thank you. And thank you, Tracy. The things that you talked about, I've been fortunate enough to be in the midst with you and work with you for many years on pulling our communities together. And so the framework that you brought to the national movement, I'm blessed that we can take this. We have this recorded now, and we can pass this on to others that couldn't be with us today, so they can see what we need to implement. And when then you can bring it to the total fold as we prepare for our next conference. I'm really excited about the wisdom you bring, the knowledge you bring, and of course the love and the friendship you bring. And so I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you.
Always, my brother. I love you. Thank you. And one thing about VJ, when he calls you, you can't say no. Because he comes with the passion of heartfelt love for you. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
So the theme of our conference was what? The last conference. Faith leaders.
Faith leaders. Dr. Alexander, come on, help me out.
Faith leaders and let's see, best practices.
Best practices. Faith leaders stopping the violence. Best
stopping
practices
the violence. Best practices. Yes.
Yeah. Faith leaders are playing a critical role in best practices. So one of the things that has inspired me from all of these different webinars that we have had, Tracy, is what you have a collage of different organizations. And in this webinar, we have witnessed the other entities that were like silos, but I realized, well, those are best practices. And as you are going around the country, demonstrating and also displaying to the community, to the government, all of these best practices through the different avenues that you share with us is something quite critical. We just felt like there's several others out there that would glean more help, as you had said, from one another, but they don't know one another. So how do we play a critical role in bridging those wonderful gaps so that we can have what we call a collective results on a national scale as well? And also the value of, I love that word, collaboration in its truest sense. Let's get the job done. We don't have we can't waste time. There's too many people dying at your front door. But as I see the things that you have already implemented in different programs, it just does wonders to my heart. And I said, see, there's so many people out there. We need a national day of really bringing them together and say, if we collectively do this, and if we collaborate the right way, we can make a national impact and make a national change overnight. So I want to thank you so much for what you're sharing. The floor is still open. Anyone else like to share? Floor is open. We have I can't
I just
see
got
everything.
one question. I just got one question for Tracy. Tracy, if there anybody on here is interested in starting a coalition in their city, how would they go about getting involved with you and beginning a coalition?
For anyone interested, I left my information, I'll leave my information rather on the chat so they can see it and they can get in touch with me. And my number is on there as well. And I'll make sure that you all, I think I left my website of my company, one of my companies on there. And feel free to touch base with me. I will be honest, I'll look at the text before I look at the message. So I mean, before I look at the voice message. So text me first, or WhatsApp me, as brother Javed said to me. You know, he WhatsApp me, so I do WhatsApp as well. But BJ, as you know, I go by the text in a minute. Then I'll call and we'll set up time to talk.
Yeah. Okay. That
All right.
sounds great.
Okay, so Wayne Johnson, Wayne Haken.
I loved your comments, Mr.
Thank you.
Johnson, and everything you said is working for a better country and a better world. And you said it without using the word God. I didn't see it in writing. I didn't hear you say it. And I realized even more deeply that God cannot do things all by himself, or else we would never be in the situation that we find ourselves. It's only with that partnership of us taking responsibility for the mess that indirectly or directly that we've created. And God has a dream, and that dream is to have one world family where he is our heavenly parent, and he lives in every single one of us. He enjoys life through our body in every possible way. And all the things that you're doing is part of the restoration that I see going on around me. And you could only continue is if you had seen results.
Yeah, that's right.
Only if you'd seen good results to encourage you. I'm going the right way. I'm going this way, and I know it's the way that God wants me to go. And the way that God works, I believe, is bringing you together with individuals that have similar passions, having groups come together, providing resources, unexpected events that help you in your work. So all of these things is part of your great efforts of restoration, and it's really all of ours. So I wanted to say, even job creation is really important, because the third blessing is take dominion over all of the world. And if we master or have excellence in our work, our job, we are doing that third blessing. So thank you for your coming on today. Thank you
very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for those comments. Also, James Parker, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, it was really touching home base there, buddy. You was really touching home base there.
Thank you.
Feel what you're saying. And that's what we did, a similar thing. It was siloed because most people gave up on the community. So sometimes you are a silo because nobody wants to come out and do the work. To be God-led, just to start picking up trash, clean up the community is a big thing. How are they going to trust you if, thinking that you're just doing something to be doing it, and they don't know what you're up to, and all you want is the community clean. And then when they want to come out and help you, and I was just like going through some of my pictures. Like, these are pictures how it started off, just one person picking up trash. And then led to other community members coming out picking up trash. And now we got the people working, the people doing it, people being involved, now headed into the park, spreading the cleanness and just cleaning it up and getting it going before we can even get to that point. But, once again, you have people, unless we go out there and reach them, it's I think we get so caught up in church that we think that the community is the church, and it's not the neighborhood, it's the church. And that's what we look after, people in the church. But most of the time, the people in the church don't even live in the community. They drive in the community, but they don't live in the community, and then they leave the community. Um, and that's something that I think we have to do, because when you bring in partners and people from outside, we need to train the community. Train the community to be able to do the things that we're coming in here to do. So then we can go somewhere else.
That's correct.
So our community, the drug dealers turned into, we partner with the county, and the county gave them jobs in the park where they once were selling drugs. Now that they're cleaning up and protecting the park.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because ain't nobody gonna mess up what they doing,
Right.
and then having programs to get them to think about buying a house in the community.
Yeah.
So, it's so many things that we can bring. And then also finding out in some of the community people, finding out, what do you want to do?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you always want to work, or what is it you're passionate about?
That's
And
right.
and that even brings out new things in the community, because now they started a protection agency. Another one started an all women's group. Another one started, and then you just have those things, and you say, do it in the park, do it outside where people can see you, not inside buildings, but do it outside where people can see you and come along and be a part of it, walking by and just being a part of it. So I like what I saw with you, and I definitely want to get some more information on that. But yeah, we got a blueprint too.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think everybody should have a blueprint.
I think they're there. I mean, and I've been in this business. I've been in the prevention business since 1986, after I graduated from college in my hometown. And I went to work for Martin Luther King Community Services, as the Reverend talked about in my bio. And I did this before I went and taught others how to do it. And so we changed the neighborhood in Freeport, Illinois. We built homes. We put folks in homes. We gave folks jobs. So you're right. It's the blueprint, and I've seen it work. I've seen it work from my own face. Before I went to work for the federal government, I did this for almost 18 years, from 88 to 2003. And so it definitely can work. And take your blueprint, share it with others, pass it on to others, because it's about, ongoing, long-term. That's what we're doing. Even today, the folks that I left there are doing wonderful work because we built them up so they can do the work beyond our work. We built a legacy of trying to keep changes based upon how they see them. So you're right. There's a blueprint, and passing it on to others so they can adjust the blueprint to fit the community of today. And that's always important. So I give you a lot of applause for what you're doing.
Thank you. That is so true. One of the things, James Parker, you just said, as you were, making some correlations, and the first thing I thought of when I saw those pictures of you out there, and the first thing I thought of was the second one, Tracy, and that was presence.
Yeah, that's right.
The power of the presence.
That's right. It's so important. It is so important. It is so important. It's so important.
Thank you so much. Yeah. The floor is open. Mr. William Stoner, Dr. Stoner.
Mr. Johnson, I really want to thank you so very much. Very good insights, and your presentations are very stimulating, very organized, and a lot of relevant, important information backing them up. And it's presented in such a way that everybody can learn, everybody can inherit from that, and you don't necessarily have to have had a lifelong experience, as some have, going through that to be able to see the relevance and importance of it. And you mentioned that it has to be a collaborative effort. When you pull in, it's a holistic, pulling in the whole community. That is so critical. because legislators, faith leaders, even just concerned parents may see only one or two people who may be involved in it. They may think, oh, I like or don't like that person. But when they see many people in the whole community working together, they can't help but really respect it and really want to support it. So I just really encourage you. I thank you. And I just pray that you can expand all over the country.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
You.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Anyone else like to share? Have any questions? The floor is still open. Mr. So, Tracy, we're coming into, the close of the meeting, but what I would like to do is ask you and also actually, Mr. Parker, James, it's good to see you. Yeah, very good to see you. So we
It's
got
good
to
to
put
see you back.
James Allo committee, huh?
It's good to see you back. Dr. Malcolm is good.
Thank
She's
you.
good
Yes, sir. Yes.
to look at. But your smile, Mr. Oliver, we miss.
Thank you. So it's good to see you again. But I would like Mr. Tracy, we have some time for you to give us, your last words. And you can take your time with some things that you felt that you wanted to share, you weren't able to share, or some things that you want to embellish upon, because actually we have to go over that. I would like to hear that over. Like you said, it was very chronologically placed. It made sense. And it was hopeful. And like I think Wayne said, what has inspired you since 1980s to continue on, because you have witnessed the results. So, please share with us a little bit more as we come to our close.
Well, I think, the basis of this work is all wrapped around, for me, the love of people. And for when you do this work, you do it because you want to see folks engaged and change. And I have to admit, I have a selfish part. I have 3 grown children, 5 grandchildren, and 1 great grandchildren. And if I don't get the word out to as many people as I see, they may end up in a city near you, where if I didn't have given you the information to help your community, it may one day impact my children and their families. So my selfishness is based upon my ability to know that this is a beautiful country and it's vast, and that they may end up anywhere in this country. And if I have not put the word out to show to as many people the information and the strategies to impact their communities, then shame on me, because I had a chance, and I know God has given me that opportunity. So I tell you this: take note of who you know who is not in this circle. Write their names down, and just have a basic conversation. Don't invite them to anything. Just check in on them, checking on them to see how they're doing. And then should they say, "What are you up to?" Then that's your entree point to say, we're doing this, and we're doing this thing. And I want you to think about somehow, how can you give back to this? It may not join this, it may not be here every day, but it may be something that they can give from a collaborative standpoint, just because you asked them to give. 85% of the people who are asked to volunteer will volunteer. But unfortunately, we don't ask the people to volunteer. And so we know that, it's just a matter of writing down a list of people that you know, that you interact every day with, you have dinner with, you have relatives, you have holidays with. And should you just reach out and tell them how they're doing and that you love them, and then when that opportunity come up and say, "So what are you up to lately?" You bring what you think is important, like this, what you all are doing today, to the work. And that's what I tell my communities. It's really about building relationships, maintaining those relationships, enhancing those relationships, not because of what you want them to do, but because you love each other as one person to another. So it's faith, it's hope, but the greatest of these is love.
Amen. You know,
Very
uh,
well spoken.
you're anybody just before you started, you didn't actually just say the word God. You did say a little at one time, but you didn't really use just God, God. What you put the onus on was the faith leaders, the power of the faith leaders,
Yes.
and what they bring to the table of true healing.
Yes.
So that in itself was powerful, and that's how you started off, and,
Yeah.
and then you gained the momentum, and you showed us how actually that process worked.
Yes.
That's that critical word.
That's right.
You showed us how the process works, and we believe that, and we hold that to be true as well. So really, thank you for coming on. Anybody has a last word they want to share before we come into our close? Yes, Brother Parker.
I'll say this, when we bring in partners, we let them know that our community don't like selling drugs. We don't like shooting each other. But we have been called a underserved community by the county, meaning they're not out there to support and have our neighborhoods clean and everything else. That's not what our community represent. Our community represent them getting grants off of our problems, bringing money in, and usually the grants have the grants usually have other communities' names on it. So by putting their names on it, but we're being the forefront of the grant, what happens is when that money comes in, they're allowed to use that money on those other communities, even though we were supposed to be the community that's supposed to get it. So, I think we have to let people know what we're facing each and every day, because when you come in here, this isn't about a quick fix.
Right.
Trust is not in our community. It's just not. You're gonna have to come in there every day, even if they don't show up, you have to show up and do what you believe, because this is what you're bringing to our community that you believe. So we expect you to be here, even if we're not here. You chose to do this, and that some come and some leave, some don't come back. But we rather have some that don't disappoint our community, because we can't keep taking disappointment. So, I'm in it. We brought other communities in it, and we haven't had a shooting since 2015. So I know, I know the change that has happened, and the change was because we got the people to change also, not just we got the people to change. So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, and
that
earlier on, one thing that Brother Tracy spoke of, he talked about respect and dignity when you're working in the communities, and how you approach people and being there, whether they're there or not. You got to be present. You got to consistently show up. And Parker, I know that you have been doing this over the years, but you consistently show up, and that's what make those people show up. They might be here today and they might not be there tomorrow, but eventually they're going to come back because you keep showing up, and that's part of the process, being present. So you guys are doing a great work. I appreciate you.
yeah.
And I
So
like the
go
And I
ahead.
like the fact, Dr. Oliver, thank you. I like the fact that when you think about, I hear the frustration in his voice too, also about how the system works. And that's one of the things when you talk about the process, we really have to look at the process about how we are looking at how the trickle down effects when a community gets $3.7 million, but then $10,000 goes to the real work. We have to look at that process and be able to speak to it. The other thing is the trust. So we have to have that trust. We have to be able to have the trust to understand that, wait a minute, this is not working. We got to change the process so we can have that transformation that we need. I can't save a young man from selling drugs if I can't get him a good job. I can't save a young man from selling drugs if I can't put him in treatment, if there's no programs. I can't save a community if there's nobody to help with the therapeutic. When there's a shooting in our community, I can't save it if you say, oh, this school shooting in the white neighborhood happens. Oh, there's help for everybody. But when it's on the block, there's nothing. We don't even clean up the blood. So it's a problem, and the process is not fair. And we have to work on making sure the system makes the process fair, or we have to do it ourselves to make sure that process is fair for everyone. And as we look in this new era that's happening around the country, still, when it bleeds, it leads. But that the communities that are bleeding the most are those that need our help the most, and that's most critical. And that's what I love about Tracy. He's in those communities, working with those people and individuals. Those people have learned the process, though, and learned how to make it fair so the systems work for them.
Mhm.
I think that one thing that I picked up from Tracy today was the power of the faith community, of really making true justice come to fruition. But we're not out there as strong as we should be, because sustainable and change that you can measure will come from them. You know, the true justice will come from them. And so what I was hearing in the beginning was the faith community has the power to supersede the system.
Right.
So anyway, I'm really, really grateful to everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your input. VJ, thank you so much always. And Parker, it's so good to see you. And now we have a new friend, Tracy,
Right.
and Wayne, and Reverend Stoner, and all that I have not called their name, and of course my dear sister, Dr. Madeline Alexander. Yeah, I want to thank you. She always has the back. She is a backbone for our God and our people, our brothers, and everything else. So
Amen.
always want to thank you for your help. Making things. But Tracy, thank you so much again. You were prolific. Thank you so much. And all of you guys are prolific. That's why you brought the different people who are prolific. Even Parker, when you hear his whole story, you see the prolific stuff in there, so we're so glad that we have been able to be a platform to bring these greatness of avenues together and work together. We want to work with you and work with your organizations and how we can collaborate. Thank you so much. God bless everyone.
Yeah.
We
God
will
bless.
see you next week. I will be back next
All right.
week. Country.
God bless.
All right.
All
God
right,
bless.
we got a lineup ready for you, so we're just waiting.
Yeah. Oh, amen. Amen. I'm ready.
Yes,
Thank you
God
very
bless.
much.
Be safe,
God
everyone.
bless.
Thank
Hey,
you.
when
Thank you so much,
is the
Tracy.
conference?
Huh?
When is the conference?
What did we say? June or July?
July
July.
16th through the 18th. Or
Have you got
15th.
where it's going to be?
It's gonna be in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah. You're ready.
Give
All
me
right.
the information. I want to come.
Amen. We look forward to it.
All right. Look, you can come. You can just drive on in. You don't have to worry about no flight or nothing. You can just cruise on in.
You got that right.
Yeah. Yes, but I'll as we nail everything down, I'll make sure you get the details.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.